Hello everyone, it's TrailTrekBeck. Thank you for joining me on my second day in Kootenay National Park on the BC side of the Canadian Rockies. So today I am so excited to be doing this trail. It's a little bit different than any ones I've done before, so I'm super excited to try something new. This one is called Stanley Glacier Trail. I'm here quite early. It's about 6:30 a.m. right now, and the parking lot is just starting to fill up. So it is a very popular trail for obvious reasons I'm going to reveal to you throughout the hike and the duration of this video. But if you do want to come here, please come early because it's already filling up. And I've been kind of taking my time so far, just letting the groups of people go by me so that way I'm not getting them on camera, and then they're, of course they're not also obstructing the beautiful nature scenes that I want to show you. So you can see this is still the very beginning of the trail, crossing over one of the beautiful little streams. Those mountains off in the back, they're peeking over the treetops, is where we're actually going to be headed to. And I'm going to go up the side of that mountain. So I'm very excited to show you guys. Yeah, I see some people coming in right now. So I'm just going to kind of give you a close-up view of the river, let them pass me. You can see them up ahead there, but I've been trying to slow down a little bit to let them get some space between us so they're not always on the camera, just for their privacy as well. And then, of course, so you get a nice view of the scenery as well. All right, so you can see that I'm starting to ascend the mountain a little bit more. We started off on a bit of a gradual incline, just slowly making our way through a series of long switchbacks, and now we're starting to ascend. And you can see that it's not super steep, but the steepness is noticeably different. Again, just such another beautiful day with the sun so big and bright, just peeking over the trees like that, or through the trees. So definitely lots of sunblock. This is a long trail. And when I get out of this little forested area, which is just the first few kilometers of the trail, it gets into pretty much an open basin, and then there's not any kind of coverage. So you want to make sure that you are wearing sunblock, or at least a cap, right? Protect your face. So I'm sure you can hear the water. We can't see it just yet. Oh, there it is. But I knew I could hear it. I was waiting and looking for it. So that river running through, there's actually many little streams throughout this trail and throughout these mountains, of course. But that one in particular is the one that looped around in front of us, and we crossed the bridge over top of it. That's kind of fun. So this is a really unique trail. Again, another reason why I was super attracted to this place is because Stanley Glacier offers so many unique viewings of different terrains. So what we're seeing here at the very beginning is a regenerating forest. So this is the first few kilometers of this trail, is this beautiful forest, and then we're going to get out into the moraine, the glacier moraine, the glacier area. We're going to see some rock walls and waterfalls. But for now, like, even though we get to see several terrains, we get to see them at different times. So you get all kinds of aspects on this trail, and it's very unique. This is definitely quite the hike up the hill now. So right now we are about 1.8 kilometers in. So you can hear me there. And just to reiterate what I said, we're about 1.8 kilometers into the trail. We're still in that regenerating forest area. We got a little bit ways to go still, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I will preface this, this little forested area there was signage at the back. It is a popular spot for black bears. So I was actually pretty lucky to let a couple big groups go ahead of me. Ha ha ha, because they would scare off the bears before I could get there. But a lot of times what I do, look at that. Look at that beautiful mountain in the back. You can see the people up there again. A lot of times what I do is I sing to myself. It scares off the bears. It scares off the people. It gives me that nice peace and solitude. But if you're hiking alone here and you don't have bear spray, be a loud hiker, be a noisy hiker, make some noise, scare the bear before it scares you and you have an encounter. But yeah, this area here, you can't quite see it, I suppose, but there's lots of berries along the trail. So what that means, and this is August too, so it's berry season, and bears love the berries. So the bears come out on the trail quite a bit because they want to pick the berries. The bears don't want to hurt us. They don't even want to encounter us. As soon as they hear us, they take off, right? But they're going to be feeding because this is berry season. So you're going to see tons of berries along the trail if you come here, especially in August. So just be very mindful, be very careful that there's going to be bears around. This is a very popular place for bears. And even when I was reading their reviews, a lot of people were saying they had encounters here. Luckily, none of them were bad. They just kind of said that they saw them from a distance, or, they knew that they were there and they just waited. So, just be mindful, of course. I'm trying to be a little bit noisy. And like I said, luckily, I've had people in front of me to kind of scare them off before I approach the bears myself. So again, a nice little stream here. One of the mini streams through these mountains. That mountain in the back. And a couple kilometers, I'm going to be on the side of it. So at this point, I'm starting to make my way near the end of this forest. The first 2 kilometers were very dense. We were hiking up the side of the mountain and we were in the regenerating forest. Now it's starting to kind of spread out a little bit. This hike now, the trail part here, is a little bit more steady. We're not going on an incline very much or on a decline. It's pretty even right here. We're just kind of at this point getting out to the open basin. We still have some beautiful trees though, but this part of the hike, this part of this terrain that we get to see is just for the first about 3 kilometers, and then we're going to, you'll see soon, we'll get out of the tree coverage and we'll get to see that beautiful rocky open terrain. So right now, we're about 3 kilometers in. Yeah, so you heard me say there, I'll reiterate again, about 3 kilometers in. So I know now that I'm nearing the end of this regenerating forest, which kind of gives me a little bit of hope for my safety, because then the bears are going to be... You never know where the bears are going to be, but luckily I can be loud enough. I think I scare them off. I'm just letting you guys take in the sounds, especially of the beautiful water. It's just such a nice, calming, relaxing sound. But a lot of times too, when I pass little streams on the trail like this, I like to be quiet myself. That way I can make sure I'm listening for any animals that are nearby, specifically bears, because sometimes those noises can be muffled with the water. So I'm just always trying to be very alert, very aware. All right, so at this point you can see, well, first of all, there's this really cool little staircase that's been made here. But I'm nearing the end of the forest section of this trail. I'm just giving you a nice view of it, taking my time here. It is quite rocky as well, so I'm just watching my step, being very mindful of where I'm placing my feet. So you can see at this point too, At first we were walking up the side of the first mountain, kind of up a hill almost, and we were going through the forest. Now we're almost above that part that we hiked in on from, that part behind us. And we've hiked up towards this basin, and now we're a little bit above the tree line that we were in before. And as I keep on going, we're going to get more and more towards the basin, and you're going to see this really beautiful regenerating forest area turn into a very rocky landscape. It'll be very, very different, and it's such a dynamic trail, right? Like, that's what really excited me about this. We're going from a forest to a rocky basin. But you can see at this point I'm a little bit up higher on the side of the next mountain, just following the trail. I'm not that far up the mountain, I'm not even halfway up, maybe a quarter way up the side of it. And that's just kind of placing us up above, oh, there's some people up there, up above the forest that we came in on. So you can see down to the right, it dips down. So we're still up on the mountain side off of the left-hand side here. And down there is the basin, but we will get down there eventually. I just got to follow the trail around this side of the mountain. And at least for now, I can really enjoy the beautiful views.
Do not take a dog. There are 2 scrambling sections that are...
Yeah, there's lots of people around me. I told you, it's a very popular area for obvious reasons, of course. But there's a couple of hiking groups that are out here together. I could tell because they're all wearing matching attire, and looks like there's a couple trail guides that are leading the groups. And you know, like I said, at this point maybe it's 7 a.m. and so it's super busy, you know. So if you want to do this trail, one, you want to come early because you're going to need a couple hours to do it. It's a very long trail, and 2, it gets super, super busy, and there's not a lot of places to park here, unfortunately. So you can see how before the terrain I was on was very much a soil base. It was flat, it was steady, it was even to walk upon. But now that we're heading out of that forest area, you can see the terrain here has turned a very rocky trek for me. So of course, just being careful where we're walking, where we're stepping. Oh, and in the background, I tend to make little notes for myself on the camera as I'm hiking, just to make markers for myself. I had said that we're 4.7 kilometers in. So it's been a pretty good trek so far. And that was just through the first part of the trail with the forest. And now look, as you can see, look, oh my God, we've reached the Rocky Basin. So welcome to Stanley Glacier. Like, this is just... wow. Even just looking at it again for the next time is just still breathtaking for me. This is my first hike doing a trail like this. So that's what I keep looking for too as I'm out in the Rockies. Of course, I want to do all the mountains. I want to do all the trails. I want to do everything, of course. But for my first time out here this summer, I'm really looking to get some trails in that are going to offer me a unique experience that's different from each of the other trails. That way I can really get all the different dynamic experiences that the Canadian Rockies can offer. So like I said, we've left the forest. Look at this rocky terrain here. There's not much of a trail through here. The only reason why I kind of know where to go. One, I am following a map, of course. But 2 is I can see the trails in front of me. So I can kind of eyeball where I need to go and just approximate where I should be landing when I get through these little rocky basins that are throughout the trail here. So now you can see here in front of me, we've got another little trail here. Okay, 5.2 kilometers in. About to go up the big hill. Whew, it's steep. So you can just hear me there saying that we're 5.2 kilometers in. And to give you perspective, that is only about halfway through. It is a very long trail. So what I've done now is I'm actually crossing through that basin. So that's where we came from. Off to the right-hand side is the forest that we trekked up. I came down the side of the mountain there, crossed this basin. Now I'm heading up towards the parallel mountain that we saw as I was coming in. So I started on the left-hand side, crawled up the mountain, and then crossed through the open basin right through the middle to the mountain on my right-hand side. And I'm following the trail the whole time. And this is how it goes. It takes you to both mountains, so you get a nice dynamic view and experience. But what I'm doing here, as you can see, yeah, so that's where I came from here. That's where I'm headed, where the sun is, after I get through this part here. So you can see there's a waterfall in the back there. So I'm actually supposed to follow this trail up to this mountain and go left. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go right first. There's no trail here at all.
She be steep. Okay.
I just laugh at myself when I talk. Sometimes I forget I'm recording. I talk to myself a lot. Look at this beautiful view. Oh my, it's breathtaking. So there's that waterfall up there. Like I said, there is no trail here. I'm just making my way up myself because I really want to get to that waterfall because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And like I always say, I'm such an opportunist when it comes to things like this. So if there is a way for me to get up close and personal with water, I'm going to do it. Of course, I'm going to be safe because let's not forget that is one very tall waterfall coming from a very, very steep edge. And that waterfall is coming down rapidly. So I'm going to be very careful and take my time, especially when I'm near that, because you will see as I approach it, there's a pretty good chance the wind and the power of it is going to knock me over. So that could be fun. All right. Nice and close.
5.6 kilometers.
So there it is, 5.6.
Okay. Wow. That is super cold and windy, as expected. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's really cold. Woo! Oh my god. It's so refreshing though. Woo! Don't think I could have gone any closer. It's too windy and these rocks are very, very slippery and that's a long way down. But look at that. I made it over my little detour. Here's this cool mountain that I've been looking at from the beginning. Woo! That wind is so strong. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer up the edge. Oh my gosh, it's cold. Woo! 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 It's like jumping in the Pacific in the winter. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so cold. Good thing this GoPro is waterproof. Oh, I'm losing my breath because it's so windy. Ooh, I gotta go back down. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so that's fun. I had to pause my narration just so you could listen to me going off the rails by the waterfall. So basically what I was trying to say is a little bit drowned out by the rushing water, of course, is that I was trying to get closer, but the wind of the fall was just, the wind of the falling water, of course, was just so powerful. I could barely stand upright. It was blowing me over, so I was hunching down to lower my center of gravity, but keeping the GoPro up. And then I tried to get a little bit closer, but it was just, one, the wind was taking the breath right out of my chest. And two, it was so cold I couldn't breathe either. So, but anyways.
Do this loop around up to those mountains. And then the trail is on the side of that mountain coming down.
There you have
and
it.
Then looping back to where we were at the very beginning. Whew.
So the waterfall is behind me, not too far away, maybe about 500 meters if. I'm following the trail that I'm supposed to be on now at this point, and up here I see a little cavern. So of course I have to go check it out. I can't resist. I told you I'm an opportunist. And there's even water here at this cavern, so it's kind of perfect. So I'm going to go in. This is the cavern. It's not that big. Well, I mean, it's big, but it's not like going in some cool underwater cave or something. It's just a small little cave. I was at first a little hesitant to come in here because I was thinking, what if there's some bears in there? And I'm like, well, this will be my first close encounter with them, so let's do it. So anyway, so I went inside. It wasn't that far up. It's an open space. It's quite nice, but it's not very deep or anything at all. It's just pretty much a little hole in the side of the mountain here, like this little hole we're looking at. So I'm just giving you some nice views of it. I went up and in it. It was cool. I'm going to keep heading forward. So I'm still on the trail here, just making my way further along the mountain. That mountain in front of us is the mountain we came from.
Found the trail again. I had to put the GoPro away for a little bit because it was too slippery holding the GoPro and walking up this rocky hill. And then I had to do a river crossing and I almost dropped my GoPro. So I'm like, okay, let's put the GoPro away before I lose it. I just bought my baby. I don't want to lose it. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Found the trail again. Oh my gosh, that gave me a heart attack. I almost lost my GoPro. The gods and goddesses are smiling on me today. Did not lose my GoPro. Ooh, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get through this.
So funny story. Once I got past that little waterfall, not little, powerful waterfall.
Okay.
But I had to cross a little stream that was going down the side of that mountain. And remember, this is not supposed to be part of the trail, but I went that way anyway to go see the waterfall, right? So as I was coming back, I had to pass a little stream to get back onto the trail, to the main trail. But there wasn't any trail, so you kind of just have to river hop blindly. And I was trying to use the GoPro, and I kept slipping because it was so slippery with all the rocks and the running water. So I was like, okay, I got to put the GoPro away. I'm going to fall and smash it or something. And so I was trying to put it away, and it fell. And I almost lost my GoPro. And I was like, I stopped for a second. I was like, where's my GoPro? And I was like looking around, and there it was. Luckily, it wasn't in the river. It was just in the rock. So I was quite fortunate, but yeah, it was a little scary for a moment there. So I'm like, okay, GoPro's going away in the backpack.
You're Aubrey? Yeah.
So I've made it to the center back of the trail now. So you can see in front of me to the left and right are the two mountains I've been trekking upon on the side there. That's the back there where the glacier is. There's no trail up that way. But it's the glacier that runs through, and it does funnel a lot of the little streams that are running through the mountains here. These are just some lovely ladies I met. They were taking their little lunch break here, and we stopped to get some pictures. I'll show the pictures at the end that some of the girls got of me. They were very lovely. So here I am, just making my way through the back. There's that beautiful glacier up there. So at this point, I'm just going to go back as far as I can. It's all, as you can see, because the glacier's in the back, there's running water all through this. So it's very spongy, very wet. So if you don't have waterproof boots or socks on, please be careful if you're going to come out and do this, because my feet keep suction cupping into the ground. It's very spongy. I do have Gore-Tex socks on, so I'm okay with the waterproof. But just keep that in mind, because it's such a long trail to be hiking with wet feet and wet boots. And that's going to lead to all kinds of nasty problems with your feet that you don't want to have to experience. So it's just coming out to the peak here. This is pretty much the middle of the mountains. Well, the middle of the trail between the mountains. That little forested area to my left is very, very small area. But it was nice. I hung out there for a little bit, got some shade. But like I said, at this point, I've reached the point of the trail that comes to an end. Now I'm going to follow the trail back. So it does this loop around the basin. around this big rocky terrain basin. So the mountain I'm on now is the mountain that we came in on. And then you can kind of see the trail ahead here. And then once we got into the basin, we crossed through this center part here down below to the left. We literally crossed right across it to the mountain in front of us on the left there, hiked along the side of the mountain to the waterfall, then came back to meet the point in the back where the glacier is, and then just circled around the basin here, this little loop. Now we're back on the side of the mountain. So this is an in and out trail, so I do have to retrace my steps to get out of it, but it is a loop when you come in, right? It's a full loop. But this side of the mountain that I'm on now is going to link up with that regenerating forest that I came out of at the very beginning. But I'm going to keep the GoPro going because this part of the mountain we didn't trek up on. This is a little bit new for us. It's the same mountain, but it's a different part of the trail. Because when we first came in, almost immediately coming out of that forest, we made a right-hand turn across the basin. You can kind of see it up on the left there, across the basin, up the side of that mountain. So this part of the trail here is new. So even though we're looping back at this point, I still want to show you. Just over 11K now. There you go.
Going down more steep rocks, but that forest there is where we came out of before we went around and did the loop here through that side of the mountain to the waterfall there, back up by the glacier, and then down on this side of the mountain. So I'm gonna keep making my way down. I see some people up there just starting to do the loop. Cool. Alrighty.
I'm surprised I had enough breath to make that narration while I was out hiking. So you can see we're starting to get back into the forested area here, back towards the beginning of the trail. Not quite yet, but we're getting there. But this is pretty much the end of it. So I'm just going to end up getting back into the trail where we started through the forest. And then I'm just going to follow the exact same way it came in. I'm going to follow it right out. So before I get into the stats, I have lots of pictures here that I really want to show you. There are some that you can finally see me in them, and I didn't have other people take them for me. But if you're wondering how I did these pictures, I actually set my phone up on a little tripod and then just hit the timer and then ran out and posed for them. So I think they turned out all right. But the main idea here is to get you some beautiful pictures. And like I said, as always, I'm going to leave you with some stats about the trail. So today, the Stanley Glacier Trail took me 16.99 kilometers through the beautiful open rocky basin and through the forest. The total elevation gain was 980 meters, so it does get pretty high, but that was actually on the second mountain when I first crossed over to the basin and then hiked up to the waterfall. That's where it got really high, but that part is also super steep, so if you're going to do that, just be prepared. It's super rocky, so make sure you're ready with balance and water and some energy to do it. My total moving time today was 4 hours and 58 minutes. So it's a very long trail. Like I said, it took me about 17 kilometers to get all the way through it. So you're going to want to make sure you're allotting at least 5 hours of moving time. For me, it took me, total time was 5 hours and 18 minutes. And that's because at the point at the back near the glacier, I stopped to have a little bit of lunch and chat with the ladies there. But overall, it was an absolutely stunning, amazing trail. The first one like this that I've done in the Rockies. And I was just absolutely blown away the entire time. So thank you for joining me today. And as always, keep trekking.